You're on mute, Naomi.
Oh, that's my son, Parker.
Parker. Hi, Parker. Hey, Parker.
He's been listening in the background and playing games.
Oh, you're so cool. What do you do, Parker? What's your thing?
Video games and stuff.
Cool. I like video games. I'm old though. I mean, when I played games, it was pinball. That's how old I am. So, yeah.
I love pinball.
Oh, see, there you go. Parker, you may have to, just for your mom's sake, you may have to play some pinball at some point. Yeah. Aw, oh, that's so dear. Oh, well, nice to meet you, Parker.
Well, Emil, I'm going to bring you to a next question here, regarding the creation of art, and especially when it's sequential art and it's again hundreds of pages going on here. Someone sort of asked, let me bring it up here again. Do you have like a least? I misunderstood their question and now I'm getting it. If your favorite thing is monsters, what is your least favorite thing of anything?
Well, I used to say it was villagers because they would get me so damn angry. But then, I looked at the villagers of today, who you can see in Charlottesville because they're carrying tiki torches. But I don't think so anymore because I think they're just monsters who really don't know that they're actually monsters. They're wonderful, creative beings who have decided to allow something other than monstrosity in their own imaginations to define them. And they could realize that they're strong and powerful and interesting, and they don't need anybody to define them on the basis of who they're not. They don't need superiority over anyone to be fabulous. That would be scary for them maybe, but it would be growth and it would be fantastic. So I don't hate them so much. I don't even hate spiders, although I don't like it when I have a lot of hair, and when they get in my hair and this has happened, it's like impossible. And they're in there and they're panicking, I'm panicking. Anyway, I don't know that I really and truly hate anything.
That's a
yeah.
Heck yeah.
I mean, I even the chief villagers, I'm saying with my eyes open wide, even the chief of villagers, I don't find myself hating those people. I find myself not wanting to have them define us, not wanting to have people who are more responsible to us as a nation. I don't find myself able to hate. I think it's because I've been such a fuck up in my own life. Like, how could I hate? What could I hate? I'm not fond of radiation, like rampant. I could almost, all right, maybe I hate radiation. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, now a next question for you here. Knowing that you've got this MFA in creative writing, right? And then you've done professional illustration work and stuff as well. Someone does ask, did you do any stories, either comic or writing, prose writing, in this sort of semi-autobiographical type format prior to doing monsters? And what types of work were you doing in general before you did monsters?
That's a great question. There are so many answers because I've been working all my life and I just haven't shown anybody any of it. So, there's an enormous backload of work, both writing and visual art, that I've never shown anybody, and I hope to be able to bring out. That said, I think that autobiographically, kind of fictional autobiographically, Karen's story was originally a short story that I wrote partially in the class of a Milwaukeeite, Milwaukeean that I'm very fond of, whose name is Paul McComas. He is was a writing teacher of mine, whom I had a lot of affection for, and loved Milwaukee, which we share. I love the city of Milwaukee very much. It was kind of my vacation city from Chicago. And he would famously say about Milwaukee, you know, Chicago is great, he'd say, because he lives here now, but it's no Milwaukee. And I would like that. I like that so much. But Milwaukee is really actually very, very cool. And another city I love is Detroit. So I'd say, you know, if I was ever going to cheat on Chicago, which, you know, I shouldn't say it out loud, but if I was ever going to cheat on Chicago, I'd cheat on Chicago with Milwaukee or Detroit. Yeah, that's really wrong, and I'm going to get in trouble. I know that, but yeah.
That works.
And did I even answer your question? Probably not. I think I didn't just do that. I'm sorry.
Well, I think let me look at it again here. Where did that go?
Oh yeah, it was about the story. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff here.
Okay.
I got a lot of stuff. I'm going to try to bring it out to you. All right.
Okay, that's great. You know, I do remember you in some interview or something too. You know, like illustration work wise, you know, I'm curious about as well, because I do remember you, you know, making some illustration about a very happy toilet or something like that. Is that correct?
Oh God, you know, I'm going to say this to you, and I don't care who gets this, who's going to find out. But I feel like I'm a suck-ass illustrator. Can I just say that? I don't like it that much. I'll do it, but it's hard for me because it's not a story that it has to be a story that comes from inside me for me to really commit to it. Does that make sense? If it's somebody saying we need a happy toilet, or could you draw a picture of a guy who's really surprised because he has cancer? No, I don't want to do that. I'm not happy about that. That's, I mean, there are people who do that really well. That's not me. I don't like it. Yeah, I think I'm being a big spoiled baby because, you know, I made money being an illustrator, but I always did really subversive things. Like I illustrated for this Mexican restaurant magazine. And so I would sneak shit into the paintings that I did for them for the cover, where in one of them, I actually had an iguana at the table eating off the Mexican food plate. It was so bad. And yet they ran it. They ran it, and they liked it, and they kept it as in their offices of the Mexican restaurant magazine company. And I thought it was like the most subversive thing. I couldn't believe they kept it. Yeah, I don't. The only way I keep thinking I want to hide things in these illustrations I do, that you can only see if you turn it up and put it up to a mirror, and then maybe I would like it more. You know, because then there would be like a cock. Do you know what I mean? Like, but you'd only see it if you turn it, like, you know, and that would, to me, that would be, actually, I might do that now. I think I just had a good idea. So,
that's fantastic.
yeah, no, it could be the only way that it saves it for me.
Now, looking back at Monsters again, you know, there is so many references to like famous art history pieces and things that you enjoyed in the Art Institute and all that. And so again, someone asked, you know, do you have particular musical influences? I know you said you like listening to audiobooks, but
It's embarrassing. If I tell you my musical influences, you're not going to think I'm cool at all.
Oh my God.
Like,
I think we could
God,
always think
she is so
more cool. Lay it on us.
No, I can't. It's embarrassing. It's horrible. If I
Emil,
do, it's going to be so embarrassing. I like shitty pop music. That I really do. I really like it. I'm not afraid to tell you. I like 70s rock just a lot still, because I'm an idiot. And I like 80s rock and 90s rock. You know, I mean, there are bands that are credible that I like I like Nirvana a lot. And then there are other bands that I'm not going to tell you their names, because you'd be like, oh, my wayward son, you are. I'm not going to say, but I don't know. I listen to a lot of classical music, actually. I do, and I can weep. I can just cry to Mozart, and I can cry to Beethoven, and I listen to a lot of pop, and I listen to blues. I love blues. Yeah. I'm not as great with jazz. I wish I could love jazz more. I like it. And there's a lot of jazz that is fabulous. I'm trying to understand jazz. I think it's just because there's no story, and I can't feel a story. And yet I think there is a story. it's pure music. It's beautiful musicality. I mean, that's great. I can listen to it some, but I need, Carry On My Wayward Son. I mean, I need the story, yeah. Oh my God, it's so embarrassing. I
Uh,
was just talking to a friend about that, and he was like, yeah, I know you like that group. I heard you play that song over and over again while you were writing your book. Yeah.
okay, well, staying on this radio theme, then, someone did ask, what was it like to be interviewed by Terry Gross, This American Life and all that? Because
I feel like I've been insulting to Terry Gross, although I love Terry Gross. Oh my gosh, there's a person. Hi, person. Matthew, you have your there's another head. Either that or Matthew has another head that we knew nothing about. Hi.
It's my daughter,
Hi.
Madeline.
Oh, what's your name?
This is my daughter, Madeline. I was just introducing her to
Madeline.
your work.
Hello,
She
Madeline.
absolutely loved the artwork, and so she just wanted to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you, Madeline.
so the interview with Terry Gross there.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
She is like a power, a force. Let me just tell you, you might think you want to be interviewed by Terry Gross, but if you've got any shit to hide, Terry Gross is going to hone in on that like you cannot believe. She is going to be in on that, and she is going to be like asking you a question directly inside of that place. And you're not going to see it coming because she has like dodging, weaving things she does with her voice. And you're just like, da, 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 da. What? You just asked me that? And then she has this way, it's almost like magic. She has this way of saying, we don't have to include this in the interview if you feel uncomfortable about it. But it's like she's just said, and in the nicest possible way, if you're let's see, we can cut this out. And it's like, you know, there's no part of you that wants to do that because Terry, you don't want to do it. So you're like, oh no, I don't want to be, I will, and I'm saying this because there are children somewhere around here. I will put that in, but I never thought I'd talk about that on national public radio. So as a consequence, that interview that I gave her was like, oh my, I have said more about me than I thought I would ever do. And she's got magic powers. Damn it. She really does. She's really good. And she's nice. I mean, that interview was actually 2.5 hours long, and they had to cut it down. She kept saying, can we talk a little longer? Maybe it was 2 hours and 25 minutes. I think that was the total length of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we just chatted like madly about all kinds of things. Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Well,
Yeah, she was great. She is great. She's probably the interviewer of our time,
mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got three questions for you, and then we got to get to ghost stories, right?
Oh, okay.
We got to get to ghost stories. So, our final three questions for you here. First one is: did you ever work with Lynda Barry? I see so many connections between your works.
I never did, although I haven't read her books, but I have read Ernie Pook comics all my life. I got them in the reader. I think she is amazing. And what my connection with Lynda Barry is probably what yours is. There were times when I would read her comics and I would just have this frisson of like recognition. And like, it's almost like she broke open shame and you were able to cast it off because she said something that was so transgressive in a way. And I admire her so much. And you can't imitate her style. It's so her. I've sat down and I've drawn her character and it's not her character. It just isn't. There's a way she energizes her characters that is so unique and so germane to her. It's so her. She just what flows out of her. And there's such simplicity in it. And yet it's really deceptive. It's not simple at all. When you really look at her panels, they're not simple. They're very clever. And yeah, I have a lot of respect for her, but I've never met her. It's like it's like the story where two people, I mean, I've been 10 minutes away from meeting her. She was here 10 minutes ago and she waited, but you know, you were in the interview and she left. It was like, it's been like that. So this has happened like 3 or 4 times. So, you know, she's not very far away. I would love to meet her. I've watched every interview she's ever done. And I used to watch her on the Letterman show. And I used to think, wow, you mean a cartoonist could actually be somebody? You know, like we're such lowly beings and yet there we are, you know, on the Letterman show. Crazy.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much there.
Yeah.
Now, my final 2 then are regarding the book again. And so someone asked regarding the process of creating the book here. As you were working on it, did you share samples of the work with other people while you were working on it? Or did you keep it all to yourself again until it was done?
Kept it all to myself. Nobody read it. Nobody read it until it was done.
So you never had like an
that was
editor
about
go
4
through
years.
with you or anything? Never
What?
had an editor go through with you or anything? It was just...
Well, there was at the end, Gary Groff, a fan of graphics, went through and found 32 correctable errors in grammar, spelling, and just like F-ups, you know, where I had put 2 R's too close to each other and they look like a letter in the Russian alphabet or something, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. That's it. That was it. And in a way, I think it was better for that. I think I upset the first people who bought the book. It was called The Other Press. It's this brilliant woman named Judith Gurevich, who's a Harvard professor. She bought the book for her company. And then she didn't, I think I upset her, or I don't know what happened exactly. I'm kind of a jerk, I think, because she like offered me a lot of input and I was just like, no, I want to do my own book. I don't want to talk to you about my book. I'm going to just do this book.
Okay.
I didn't know what I was doing, but I told her I did. And so she gave me some money and I went to do it. And yeah, nobody, I would send them pages at The Other Press and I would never hear back. And I think it's because they kind of thought, what is this exactly? I think it wasn't smart. It didn't look smart enough to them. And because they were used to publishing very brilliant books, you know? And I think it was just sort of out of their wheelhouse. Like they'd never published a graphic novel before. She was very nice to me though. She let me keep the money. I mean, how great is that? She decided not to publish the book, but she let me keep the money so that I survived. If she hadn't done that, I don't know what would have happened to me. Because I had nothing. I just used the money to live on it for 4 years, you know?
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you again. Then.
I thank her. I mean, I thank her. She's kind of a superstar as far as I'm concerned, despite the fact that she didn't publish my book, you know? She kind of left me alone. And she was nice about it. She would say to people, well, just leave Emil alone. She'll do what she should do. Nobody had ever said that about me, to me, and given me that kind of authorization to just do my own thing. It was very freeing and wonderful. And I owe her a big thanks for that.
Very cool. Well, thank you for sharing that story there. The last question before Ghost Talk here then was, in My Favorite Thing is Monsters, there's sort of like the chapter breaks in a way that are like, you know, old horror magazine covers or something. And someone is wondering, are those recreations of actual covers or are those just like your own fictional cover ideas?
Well, I'm just looking over here. I think I have a new one that I wanted to show you, maybe. Oh yeah. No, I mean, you know, no. Here's one that I did in the haunted place. And you see, there's so much cleavage here. Isn't that nice? Such a lot of cleavage. Well, the thing is, no, but you know, I mean, they were so appealing because as a kid, they were practically porn, but they were, you know, kind of fear porn. They were, you know, sexy women getting savaged by beasts, you know, which is, what's better than that? Like nothing, right? Yeah, I was so into them as a kid. as a little lesbian werewolf kid. I was just like, you know, you don't have to kill her. I'd be okay if you just dragged her into your cave or your lair, and then she could live with you. And meaning me, you know. It just, yeah.
So
No, they're not real. They're just, they come out of this twisted, sick brain.
okay. Cool. Okay. Thank you very, very much for that answer there. Now I know, like, you know, from one of the early times that you and I were speaking about having this conversation tonight, you mentioned your interest in the ghosts and everything, and about how, you know, I had the luck to be a tour guide on a ghost tour this past October.
I know, that's so cool.
It really was pretty neat. I did not have any spooky experiences at the Riverside, but some of the other tour guides did. But I know
Really?
you did say that one of the things you did want to hear tonight was if anybody who attended had, you know, their own sort of ghostly experiences there. And so I was kind of wondering, yes, at this point, well, before we open, you know, the mic, so to speak, well, could you speak a little bit about your own interest in the ghost stories? And is there a difference in your interest in ghost stories versus your interest in monsters? Are these two distinctive sort of interests? And then let's hear some ghost stories from people. Emil?
Really? Come on, you guys. Do you have ghost stories? Who has a ghost story here? Holley is,
Yeah, we got it.
Emilio.
Emilio, I see.
Ghost story.
So I don't know if you want Holley to go first and I'll go second.
You're such a gentleman, Emilio. Holley, go for it.
Well, mine is a little, it's not particularly I saw a ghost, but when I was a kid, we moved to Missouri and my family went to look at a house. And it was me and my mom and my brother and my dad. And it was a great big house and it was really a nice house. But as we got farther and farther up in the house, I started feeling really uncomfortable. I wanted to get out of there as fast as I could. And once we got to the third floor, I just couldn't take it anymore and I left. And my mom, I noticed, was kind of the same way. And once we both got outside, we said that I can't be in that house, especially up on that top floor. We both felt it. And my dad and my brother came out a little while later and like, oh, we really love this house. Let's move in here. And mom and I are like, no. And I don't know what it was. I never did find out.
Cool.
Wow, that's like the ghost story that didn't happen. Do you know what I mean? Because the haunting, I mean, that's how it begins, right?
Right.
But that's so interesting because it always begins that way, and then, you know, the wife and daughter are overrun, and then the doors of hell really open up wide for the family. And there's just another place where you should listen to your wife and daughter. You know,
and my
I mean,
mom does kind of wear the pants, so yeah.
If that keeps ghosts away, or poltergeist, or whatever, demons, you know, demons don't like moms and pants. Let's have more moms and pants, right? Yeah, I like that. Emilio, what you were to tell us a story.
Sure. And thank you very much for your presentation. It was that end cap to a wonderful day. Is fantastic.
Oh, I'm glad you had a good day.
So Troy and I, it was a long, hard day actually, but I'll get to part of it because part of the ghost story is connected to today. Troy and I did the haunted Riverside tour for the month of October. And some of the folks we worked with are paranormal investigators from Bruce City Paranormal. And so today, they spent 3.5 hours where I work at Turner Hall, because we're going to be doing a haunted Turner Hall through January. And I don't know if you're familiar with it. It was built in 1882. The Milwaukee Turners are the oldest civic group in the state. We found urns with the cremated remains of Turners in one of the walls. So
what? Holy crap! I'm sorry. This is like, what is this not? Why is this not national news? This is the kind of news we need.
Right next to my desk is a shelf with urns with cremated Turners. So they asked if I was superstitious when I started working.
Cremated Turners.
Oh yeah, it's great. And they've been around a while. They provided the bodyguard to Abe Lincoln for his inauguration, not for theater night, for his inauguration. And oh,
really?
the Milwaukee Turners, yeah. So there's lots of stories surrounding the building. There's stories of this guy, Al Godshaw, that works collecting tickets at the Riverside, and the Pabst was telling us how he'd only seen a ghost once. And this is an old-timers, low 80s. And it was in Turner Hall after shutting down. And he had described it as seeing a Civil War soldier sitting there. And he thought it was just somebody, because there's a concert, I have a ballroom in there too. So the ground floor is a restaurant. We have rock climbing walls and gymnasiums in the basement, then a ballroom, and then all these creepy other rooms. And just last week, we discovered another room nobody knew existed under the sub-basement, a crawl space, when we were jacking up the floor.
This is incredible.
So
That's the beginning of a horror movie. It's wonderful. What? I've got to go to this place.
Yeah, you got
I've got to see this
It's
place.
gigantic. It's
I do.
We got an observatory on the top. It's creepy. It's creaky. It's got brick walls and weird panels and things that used to be apartments. Bootlegger tunnels, all this good stuff.
Bootlegger tunnels. That's the icing on the cake. I mean, my God. I mean, how does it get any better than that? I don't know. That's fantastic.
We're excited. We had 2 mediums there today who were gathering stories and names of the spirits and lurking about in our very COVID empty ballroom. And we'll see what happens, because in the midst of collecting these stories now, including the stories of folks that have passed away in there and some of the other dramas that have occurred. But
what are the names that came up?
The names that came up was a woman named Becky from the ballroom. Someone named Martin down in the restaurant area. My interns all shared stories of having, 2 of these interns are skeptics, like devout atheists, about hearing the walking up above us. And so I took them to the area where I work parallel to the ballroom, but there's a balcony there. And there were 2 terrible fires in Turner Hall in the 30s and 40s. So when you go up in the attic, you can see where it was all burned out. So Becky and Martin were the 2 names that came up. And we have memorials to the folks that died fighting the Confederate slavers and such. Sometime I'll share, if you want to, the only ghost story I had that was scary occurred when I was in college as a skeptic. And I was in the woods late at night hiking because they didn't go home to my family over the vacations because I lived in an abusive family. And as I was walking through the woods, I saw what I thought was a plastic bag, and I was chasing after the plastic bag to clean it up because a friend and I both did the big brothers, little brothers thing, and we kept on, collecting trash to take it in as a contest with the other big brothers. And as I was getting through the thick pines, I realized maybe after only about 30 seconds to a minute that it wasn't a bag, that it was a kid wearing what looked to me to be anachronistic white clothing. And this is in upstate New York, not too far from Syracuse. At the same second, I realized that it was a child. The child turned around and looked at me, and it was the most horrible face I had ever seen. It wasn't translucent like ghosts. It was a very real, very terrifying, very demonic thing, which sent chills all through my body. And I just turned around and hightailed it. I booked straight through. It was no longer a friendly little piece of trash or a child that was lost to me at that moment. That was my only experience some 32 years ago.
Thank you, Emilio.
Wow, thank you.
I'm jumping in, Emil, because we've got four other people who want to share stories as well here.
Yeah, well, I want to hear them.
So Dani G, I believe you're up.
Where are you, Dani?
Oh, here. This is me. Hello.
I'm looking everywhere. Oh, there you are.
Here. I have your book, by the way. So happy. But anyway, so it's not exactly a ghost story, but it is really creepy. So I have a friend who he and his brother, this is, by the way, in Mexico, I'm Mexican, but so he and his brother like really wanted a sibling, and so like they would tell his mom like, oh, yeah, let's have another, like, you should have another kid, and we will name him, and we will name him Ramon, and he'll be like really great. And so they started making up this story And so they would put like a placemat on the table whenever like, yeah, whenever they put the table, and they would like leave a space for him. So they started doing all these things that were like to have like someone else, but like the parents didn't really want to have another kid. But like some weird things started happening around the house that, yeah, like things would move, or things would be like really strange. And then, so they like kept going, like it got really intense on like this make-believe of like another little brother, that it got to a point where they just had to like stop, because like there was like maybe like a presence in the house, because they were like calling it. I don't know. Like my experience of it was just that I did go to his house, and it was like, it felt weird, and things like made noises and stuff, but it wasn't like, of course, like not my direct experience, right? But they did have this story around that. And yeah, they kind of had to stop and like stop calling on whatever had they had called into being.
Sure.
So anyway,
They opened the door. It sounds like they opened the door and something came in and said, "Sure,
yeah,
I don't know.
something.
I'll be
So,
room for you if you like." That's creepy.
So yeah,
as you know what? Yeah.
So yeah, that's my story.
Thank you for that. That's terrifying.
Yes.
It is,
Something
really.
to think about.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I'll be thinking about that for sure. Thank you.
Addo, you've got a story for us too, I believe.
Yeah, can anyone hear me? Am I good?
Addo,
This
where
is
are you?
this is a new headset, so this is me trying it out.
Mhm.
So to start off, I'm very skeptical of ghost stories. It's not that I don't believe them. It's just that it's a little rough for me to like, I believe everyone experiences them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm originally from the middle of nowhere, Ohio. It's Mansfield, Ohio. And my grandmother lived in this house that might as well be described as a hobbit house. Half of it was in a hill. So the back of the house is dark at night. It's creepy as sin. And when I was very young, there's this hallway in the very back of the house. And when I want to say about 6-ish, I kept seeing a man in the hallway, like just a silhouette. And I'm like, no one that lived there. And it would be right before a light would turn on.
Terrifying,
it was. I was like, and I would tell like my grandmother, I tell my mom and my uncle, I'd be like, there's someone here, and it's in this hallway always. And that happened for about a week and a half. And I still, to this day, and if I'm in that house, do not like that hallway. It gives me so many vibes, so like unnatural about it.
I'm right there with you on that. That's something is quite there, clearly.
Yeah.
I think there's something about the earth. I mean, they say that there's more ghost activity in places where there's running water. I've heard that.
Yeah, and I'm like, the fact that it's in the ground doesn't make me feel very comfortable either. Like, I'm like, I don't know the history of this house.
Yeah, exactly. Is there a burial issue here? You know, it kind of, you start to ask yourself.
And it's like, and it's always, and when I say it's in the hill, it's like a kind of like a sandwich, like a sideways cut sandwich. So the front part of the house is this side, and the actual part in the hill is the back here, and the hallway's back here. So it is where the house is underground.
Interesting.
And I'm like,
I think that's really interesting. And this is in Mansfield, Ohio, you say?
Yeah, which is famous for being a haunted spot. It's
really?
It has that jail from Shawshank Redemption. That's where that jail is.
Oh,
and it's
holy crap.
no,
That's-
it's like noted completely believe. I personally think it's possible, but it's also like that place is covered in lead poisoning.
Yeah.
That I'm just kind of like, it depends. I haven't
Yeah.
been there myself.
Right.
Maybe.
Well, in Muslim tradition, there's the jinn, and they tend to inhabit very places that are devastated in a way that we would devastate a place. You know, so lead toxicity would be a place that in this realm we wouldn't want to be, but that they would be comfortable in. And so there is this sort of thinking in you know, that faith that perhaps if you leave things in a state of disrepair, you're inviting the jinn. And they're very real to people in the Middle East and in Muslim culture. I had one little jinn experience. It was my daughter who saw one, but I didn't see anything. Although,
Yeah, because that's the other thing. Because my mom and my grandmother, my uncle saw nothing, and I would see it with them. And to answer Tony's question, yeah, I definitely was like, I'm kind of skeptical of it because I was also 7, and I have a very wild imagination.
But you know what I was taught by a psychic friend of mine is that the way which we understand things the way that we understand things is through our imagination. So it's not your literal eyes that are seeing, it's your imagination eyes that are seeing. And in some ways, I mean, I think with your literal eyes, I've had the experience of seeing something with my actual eyes that I couldn't explain. But I've also had the experience of sensing something that I could put an image to in my mind. And that image came through my imagination, but it was so strong that it was an imposition. It was such a strong, and I think children are more able to, they're more wide open channels to those kinds of experiences, you know?
Because they don't have the experience to question it, you know,
Maybe
like
that's the thing.
they don't have these grounded limitations in how
Right.
they think.
Exactly. I think
That's why I trust children. I trust children with my life. Like,
well, that's an interesting way to live. I mean, you're going to be doing some definitely, you know, you're going to be filing your taxes at Chuck E. Cheese. I mean, I hate to say that, but it could happen to you, and that's okay. That's okay. I like that world. I really like that world.
I wanted to say I appreciate your time with us before I
thank
let
you.
someone grab the
appreciate
mic.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you and telling that story and just being here, all of you. It's been a lot of fun.